Well, hello there, gorgeous. Thank you for joining me today while I set up my booth for the art show. I did a time-lapse video and just glad you're here to come along for the ride. Now, I did mess up here. I wanted to film me unloading my truck, but the only thing you're going to get to see me unload is that bucket and the cooler. Oh yeah, and the step stool. Because I paused the video, or so I thought. I had leftover ice, so I went around to my neighbors to see who could use it because it wouldn't all fit in my cooler. And I thought I paused the video, but apparently I turned it off, or I turned it off when I came back to unpause it, whatever. Anyway, but I will, in the next clip, I will show you everything that I did unload. You just won't get to see me unload it. And I will say the unload probably took about 20 minutes, maybe. And so, yeah, there's where I accidentally cut it off. So here is everything that was packed into my truck. It takes a lot of stuff to set this up. Minus one mannequin. I was missing one mannequin. My friends from last weekend, I didn't have room for it in my truck, so they took it home for me. They brought it to me here the next day because we knew we were doing this same show together. Got my tent set up. Now, when I first set up my tent, I always leave it in the lower setting because, like here, well, I was just attaching the canopy to the tent frame. Now I'm attaching the sides to the canopy and to the frame. And, I can easily reach all this. But if I raise my tent up to where it's eventually going to go, then I have to use the step stool. And I learned pretty quickly, if I go ahead and do this before I raise my tent up, that I don't have to climb up, down, up, down, up, down step stool like a million times. And I'm sorry if you can hear my little puppy over there. She's chomping on her kibbles and apparently playing with her bowl. Now, I haven't got my sides here like rolled up really neatly. I'll do that neatly tomorrow, but for now, I just got to get them out of my way. And yes, I do have to duck, like when I'm in between the frame for this, I can stand up, but I have to duck to go under the frame and under the sides, and that gets old too, but it's better than climbing up down the step stool. And yes, I have knocked my noggin more than once. Oh, and I know that you're peeping my sexy socks there. Don't be jealous. But actually, I wear those because those are compression socks. My feet and ankles and lower legs swell pretty badly. And so, yeah, I wear those. But I figure, hey, if I got to wear them, I might as well add some color in there, right? Instead of wearing boring, plain old socks. But if I wear those, it keeps me from having to take a medication. And they actually work better than the medicine anyway. Now, setting up my booth here, I am actually on a corner space here, which normally I don't have a corner space. Most shows you have to pay extra to get a corner space. But for this show, they just happened to put me on a corner. And I didn't know that ahead of time. I wasn't prepared for that. So I kind of had to adjust the way that I normally set up my booth, because instead of having one side open just on the front, I had to have two sides open. So I'm trying to figure out here, what to do with my curtains, and like those, I didn't know exactly how far they would hang down until I raised my tent all the way up. And of course they were hanging down too low, so I'm eventually going to have to change those curtains there on the right. But, some things are just trial and error when you're setting up, especially if it's not your normal setup that you do every time. Okay, now, yeah, I messed up here. Where the purple is going way downhill, like way downhill. So the smart, and the purple curtains are like really heavy. So the smart thing to do would have been to raise that side first, but yeah, I wasn't actually thinking, so my neighbor had to come to the rescue. Normally, my husband is there to help me set up, so that I don't have to do everything by myself. But he works third shift, and this week he had to work Friday night. He had to work 6 days, and so he's normally off on Friday nights. And I mean, he offered to come help, but I told him no, I would take care of it because I didn't want him to have to come do this and then go to work, you know? But this is number 10 so far for me this year, and I'm pretty sure he has helped me set up the other 9. There may have been one I did by myself, but I think he's helped me set up all of them except for this one, really. And like putting the shelf together and stuff like it's stuff that he would normally be doing while I'm doing other things. Now he doesn't mess with the frou-frou stuff, you know, like the decorating and the putting out the jewelry and stuff like that, but like weighting down the table, helping with the tent, putting the shelves together, things like that is what he would normally be doing. Guys, in a minute you're going to be hearing my nails hit the coffee cup, and I'm so sorry, but I wasn't going to go back and re-record this whole thing just to take that out. This ground was so unlevel that I had a really hard time getting the tables set up. I had to borrow some wood chips like shims from my neighbors there. They helped me out. They saved the day because those tables were really unlevel. The sun's coming out. It's getting hot, so I got to hook the fan up. And here's where I'm changing the curtains because they were just hanging down too low. Had to figure out how I wanted to do them. Like I said, this is not quite my normal setup, so it took a little bit of time to figure out how to change things. Plus, I really wanted things to be really, really nice for the show because number one, this show it's not in my hometown, but it is very close to my hometown. So I knew that I would be seeing a lot of people that I know. My mom was planning to come, which she did come see me on Saturday, and that was the first time she'd ever been to one of my art shows, so I wanted my booth to look extra nice. And the last reason is because this show is juried or judged, and they have, you know, like first, second, third place, and which they don't judge on your booth. Some shows do. They have awards for like the best booth. This show does not, but still, it never hurts for your booth to look nice. I don't know why it took me till the very end, I think, to just pull that tablecloth up and then steam it instead of bending over, but you know. As hot as it was, I'm surprised I could think at all. It was, I want to say mid to high 80s while I was doing this. It was pretty hot. And it looks like the wind is blowing a lot. But I think that's just because it's sped up. Because it was not that windy. Not as much as it looks like. Oh, and in case you're wondering why I put a double tablecloth on that table, the bottom one is actually not a tablecloth, it's a sheet. But because I put my tables on bed risers to make them higher, then I've got that gap there at the bottom, and I can't stand that, so that's why I put something else under it. But I also don't like just the tablecloth by itself, and it's also not large enough, so. And I've started using this TV in my booth that I I play videos of me making my jewelry. Kind of like my YouTube videos, but they're a little different. I mean, obviously they don't have sound and maybe a little bit more condensed, but I play those on the TV during the show. But that's something new. Whether it's actually worth the effort, I haven't decided yet, but I thought it was a good idea anyway. But time will tell if it actually helps with business or not. See how unlevel that table is there? You can see the sheet is only poking out on part of it. That's how unlevel it is. There again, that's where the sheet under the tablecloth comes in handy. I want y'all to be thinking about how long you think this took. I want you guys to comment and let me know how long you think all of this took. I'm going to tell you at the end, but I want to know what you think. Now, I will say the actual time that I was there, not all of that was spent working. You know, I mean, you have to talk to your friends that you haven't seen since, you know, ever how many shows ago that it was you saw them. And some of them I haven't seen since this show last year. And then, of course, running back and forth to the bathroom because you're drinking a gallon of water. And normally, I wouldn't do all of this in one day. Well, all of what I'm doing now would have. But, like, most of the time I don't put out the jewelry until Saturday morning. But I did go ahead and put all that out today instead of waiting until in the morning. Gave me less to do in the morning, but you know, it's hard to know exactly how much time is spent actually working. And like I said, you know, this time was, the setup was different, so I had to, okay, this works, no, this doesn't work, let's try this, let's try that. And I did spend extra time making sure that everything looked, you know, the best that I could make it look. Plus, I didn't have hubby with me helping out, so it did take a lot longer than it normally does. My little fairy lights. Oh man, those things are a pain. To try to unwind them and wind, I mean, they get tangled up so easily. But they look cute. When they're visible, sometimes it's so bright you can't really see them. I'm wondering if I should change out that, looking at this video now, like that pink tool, not only is it not the same color as my curtains, but it really kind of like really stands out, whereas the purple looks nice, but it doesn't like just jump out at you. And also the fairy lights show up better under the purple than they do the pink. So I'm wondering if I should change the other side out to purple also. Let me know what you think. Should I ditch the pink tool and get purple instead? Just trying to straighten up a little bit so I can have one more table that I still have to set up. So, oh, and those are my the velour liners for my little trays, and they haven't been cleaned in who knows how long. They were really dirty. You know, they get, that velour just catches everything. They get dusty and get fuzzies on them, and they haven't been cleaned in a long time, so I decided to lint roll all of those. And some of my necklace displays too. They're made of velour also. Table number 3 going up. Normally I don't weight this table down, but because it was just so unlevel, I only used one riser on one corner. So it was unlevel in like 2 or 3 different directions. So that's why I decided to go ahead and weight it. Those buckets there, I want to say they weigh about 30 pounds a piece. Now the big orange buckets that I use on the corners that are my actual tent weights, those things are filled with 48 pounds of pebbles. And they are not easy. They're not so hard to move around, but when you're talking about loading them back up at the end of the show in my truck, then you feel every bit of that 48 pounds. Because some of them have to go like on top of another bucket. So I have to lift them up about like chest high to get them on top of the other, and that is not easy. Getting dark on me here. I was literally the last vendor to leave Friday night. There was nobody there but me and the security guard. And I'm always the last one to leave at breakdown on Sunday night too. Like always. It generally takes me 3 hours to break down. And I always do that by myself because hubby goes into work on Sunday nights. And it usually takes me right at 3 hours. So I'm always the last one to leave. One show I did back in the spring, they were literally waiting on me to open the road back up. It was one that was in town, you know. They were waiting on me to open the road back up. I mean, I was going as fast as I could. I really don't even know if you can see what I'm doing. Still working on getting all the jewelry put out. Now I think I'm straightening everything up, getting everything inside the tent. Now this one table there that's in the front, I left it, you know, it's kind of outside the tent, like halfway in, halfway out. If it was going to rain that night, I would not have left it there. Would have put it inside the tent. But since I knew the weather was going to be nice Friday night, I just left it. And I do let the side down over it. Of course, I can't close it up all of the way, but I just lay it down on top of it. And that's good enough if it's not going to rain. There's the step stool, so I'm assuming that's what I'm getting ready to do now. Yeah, letting the sides back down now. And they zip closed. They zip to each other. And they also attach to the pole there. And it's time to go home. Next morning. Now see, I roll my tents up, or my sides up a lot nicer this time. They don't look so messy. Yeah, and I missed filming parts of it there, but I think the only thing you missed was me setting up my little checkout table here in the front. Which is not normally there in the front. It's normally off to the side, but there again, corner space, so I had to do things differently. And that's pretty much it. Okay, guys, I got the booth set up for the most part. I still got a few little things to do, but I got to get myself ready because I'm still in my PJs. And look at this mug. So, gonna go do my makeup, get my clothes on, and then I will show you what everything looks like. Hi, I'm back. Got myself put together now. So I forgot what I was gonna say, but Give me just a second. I'll turn around the camera and I will show you the whole setup, okay? So now that I am put together, all colorful today to match my booth, of course. So yeah, let's turn around and see what it looks like. Okay, when I filmed this, not only did I film it in the wrong orientation, I was talking when I filmed it originally, but I had forgotten to stop my music. So yeah, there was music playing in the background and you could obviously hear it. So having to do a voiceover instead. But here is the finished product. Ignore all the stuff behind my tent. Every vendor is going to have a whole bunch of junk behind their tent and underneath their tables. Just so you know. That's where we hide everything. But this is what would normally be the front of my tent. You know, and the sign would normally be back there on the purple. But with this show, I've got two fronts. I have a mirror there on the table. And then I have a larger mirror hanging on the back wall back there in the corner, in case someone wants to try on a necklace or, you know, hold a pair of earrings up to their ears. Alright, so how long do you think this actually took? This took about 8 hours on Friday, another hour and a half on Saturday morning. But like I said, not all of that was actual work time. Plus, it normally doesn't take that long, especially when I have help. But our average setup time, I would say, is probably 3 to 4 hours on Friday and maybe another couple of hours on Saturday morning. That's probably our average. Total of about 5, maybe 6 hours the most. But that really is just a guess because I've never actually timed it before. So I really don't know. And I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it gives you a little insight into what it takes to set up for an art show. And also, you've got to watch this till the very end because there's the coolest picture ever. You probably can't read it, but the sign says,
"I came from another galaxy to take a picture with this woman."
Now how cool is that?